Hey everyone, Javon here. Welcome back to another video. In this one, we're gonna go through communication. So we're gonna go through some of the physical hardware devices, the different headsets we have and belt packs and batteries and all that kind of stuff. But then we're also gonna get into some more of the terminologies that we should use when we're communicating what they all mean, so you guys understand kind of how when someone says something, what to do and what that means. And that goes for both cameras and projection, and then also some just best practices for using comms in the future. So let's jump into it. First, we're gonna look at some of the hardware, and then we're gonna get into some of the theory. All right, so when it comes to comms, we have a couple of options. We have a number of various different headsets, so let me get them out here. We have here, this is a double air headset, and then we also have a single air headset. This is from the same company, Claricom. I'm gonna adjust my focus here. And then over here, we have another single air, and this one's from Sennheiser. So these two are different brands. These guys are the same here. This is a different brand. And then we have couple other from a few different other companies. However, they all do the same exact thing. Now, I will point out some of the specifics around these guys so you guys just are aware of them. So this one here is, some of you guys might recognize these are older headsets. These guys are good. They're Sennheiser. So Sennheiser is an audio company you guys might be familiar with. They work really well. They're very comfortable in the air. We have a couple of these guys lying around. These guys were actually hard to get to because they don't make them anymore. So we have these guys. We've recently switched to the actual Claricom company. We use Claricom. That's the company we use for communications. These are their official headsets. And so we have a double ear version, which, as you know, has 2 ears. And then we have the single ear version. And my best recommendations is if you're on stage or you're like camera 2 or camera 3 on stage or you're roaming around, double ear is really nice because you get that extra isolation. So if you can hear the drums, you can actually hear really clearly. As well as, and then if you're doing like camera 1 or you're in the booth or upstairs or whatever, you only really need a single ear. And that allows you to talk to someone next to you without, having to take an ear off, for example. So that's where these guys come into handy. Another cool thing about these two versus the Sennheiser is that when the mic is upwards, in the upwards position, you're muted. And when it's down, you're unmuted. So, that's how those work. So we'll get the headsets out of the way, and now we're going to talk about belt packs. All right, so when it comes to belt packs, we have 2 options. You are probably going to be having either one of this. This is the Pro Intercom belt pack, or this guy here, which is a Telex belt pack. So Telex is another comm unit that we use, and that plugs into, it's all in the same system. They're all connected to each other, and their base stations are actually below this desk here. That's where all these signals run. So Telex is our wireless unit. This is the antenna right here. It lives right here. And so when you are at a station, either the booth or one of the camera stations, you're probably using the Pro Intercom belt pack. Now, the way this works is when it's plugged in, you have your signal light that allows people to know that you need help or get the attention of people. This is your personal volume control, and this is your mic. When it's green, it's on. When it's not, it's off, okay? And then on the back side, just so you guys are aware, you have, so the way these work is that they're daisy chained, and daisy chaining basically means you plug into one and then out of the other, and out of it into another. So you can actually wire these all up in a row. So I go into this one here, and then I'll come out with another cable, and then I can go into another belt pack and just keep going. And that's kind of how we're all wired up here. And in the center here, the silver one is where you plug in your headset. So for example, I'm just gonna grab a headset here. We'll line it up. There's only one way it can go in. There's like this little pin here, only make sure that it can go in one way. So when it lines up, it slides in, and then now this headset is pretty much ready to use once you plug it in. And so that's how this works. And then we're gonna move over to the wireless unit. So the Radiocom Telex unit, it's very similar. However, we lacked one function, which is our signal function because of the wireless, the nature of it. So this is your volume and power control. So when it's all the way down, you're off. And then to turn it on, you have to turn it, you hit an audible click. That means it's on, the lights will turn on. Actually, I'll grab the batteries. The batteries live here in the booth, over here by the wireless unit. So we grab a battery, we're gonna flip it around, and then we're gonna slide the battery in. You're gonna push it down and you hear it click. Boom, it's ready to be used. Now we're gonna turn it on. The lights turn on, we know we're good. Okay, you always wanna make sure you're on channel A. There's 2 channels here, A and B. we operate on channel A. If you're on B, you're in a party on your own. You're gonna be talking to yourself, so you want to make sure you're on channel A. And then if you can't hear yourself, these guys, you have to turn the volume up. It does not stop here. This is very deceiving. It got me at first. I was like, oh, I can't hear anything. It's really, really low. It's because this actually goes all the way around. And so usually I have it at max volume, to be honest, and turn it all the way up. Other than that, don't worry about these buttons. And then if you need to speak, you can press the button here, and then you can either push and hold to talk, or you can press it and it'll turn it on and leave it on, and then you can press it again to turn it off. So that's a press and hold if you want to talk for a couple of seconds and let go, or you can just turn it on, leave it on, and then turn it off when you're done. So that's how these guys work. And then when you're done, please remember to turn it off. That's the first thing. Take the battery out. There's where's the button? There's a button here at the very bottom. You slide this down, and then you slide the battery out, and then you put it back to charge. We have currently 3 batteries in the charger. We have a 4th one here that should be fully charged. However, just grab out of the charger and put the 4th one in just to make sure it's charged. Sometimes you might lose, or the volume might start to fade. That means your battery's dying. So at that point in time, just come back here and grab another battery. And we should be good. All right, so just for storage, so you guys know where to find these guys, because they don't live on the top of the desk here. We actually try to keep this area clear as much as possible. I know you'll come in and you'll see the desk is messy. I'm sorry. However, we try to keep it clear. All this stuff lives in these drawers here under the desk. So in the bottom one, I think this is some extra stuff, but we try to keep the wireless packs as well as any spare belt packs that we have kicking around in the second drawer here. And in the top drawer, the headsets fit in here. And if they can't all fit in here, we'll put them in the second drawer. So you could just fold it up really nicely as much as they can, and they compress pretty small, and we'll squeeze them in here. This one's full, so I'm just gonna throw this one in the second drawer here with the camera. With the belt packs. It fits. It's a little tight, but it fits. Any other stations, for example, projection or camera, the belt packs and the headsets can stay there because they're in fixed positions. Cool. Now we'll move over to camera 1, and so these tips or these the terminologies we use pretty much are standard across every camera. So I'm going to show some examples of what I mean when I say certain things. So the first thing is when we're operating camera, I'm going to lock the pan and we're going to lock the tilt here, so we're going to go into this. The first thing is we're going to do what is a pan? You know, pan is left to right, or right to left, doesn't matter which way you go. So we say pan from the left, we're going to go far left, and then we're probably going to pan nice and slow, just like that across the stage. Usually the singers will be there, and you can do this either really wide, or you can do it zoomed in as well, right? So this is fairly wide, or we can zoom in, and we can have like full length body of the singers, and then we'll pan across the stage like that. So when I say pan from left to right, usually you can probably zoom into this position. However, you can do it wide. If the congregation is, have their hands up or stuff like that, that's usually when we start to do that kind of stuff. So that's a pan. Tilt is usually up and down. We don't really go from down up. We usually go from up down. So we usually tilt up towards the lights here, for example, and then we'll start to do a reveal. And usually, again, you start your movement before I say, okay, ready camera 1. Once I say ready camera 1, you can start your move. And then once I take camera 1, it will fade to this shot, for example. And so that's a tilt. So pan is left to right, tilt is up to down, up and down, yeah. Moving on, so those are pretty basic, you guys should kind of understand that. We're gonna do a crawl. So a crawl is basically a slow zoom in or out. Usually I do a creep in and a crawl out. Those are kind of how I use it. Creep is in, crawl is out. So we're gonna do creep in first, which is, again, very, very slow pressure on the control here, because it's pressure sensitive. Again, if you press a button hard, it'll go fast. And then if you press it lightly, it'll go slow. So we're gonna go all the way out, and we're gonna do a crawl in, right? Creep in. Like trying to sneak up on them, right? So we're gonna press it very lightly to zoom in, which is the T, and it's gonna start moving in really, really slow, just like that. And you can do a really, really nice slow creep in. And in tandem with all the other things we're doing, this actually is a very, very, very effective shot. It helps to kind of bring your focus to someone. So let's say we finish a song, we'll finish wide, and then, for example, the person will start speaking, and we'll do a nice creep in onto whoever's speaking, because it's like we're drawing your attention to this person, for example. In the same breath, we'll do a crawl out. So we'll start close up on, I don't have fake Bass Bob here with me. We'll start up close up on the drums, for example, and we'll do a crawl out. We're just going to press the W. And again, usually these things you want to do very subtle movements, especially with camera one. Very subtle movements. You don't want anything to be too jarring or anything like that. So very light pressure again on the control, and it's going to crawl out nice and slow. Usually that first bit you figure out your speed, but once you keep that pressure, you can go really, really slow. Like it's really, really moving slow right now. Or you can go a little bit faster than that, but again, very, very slow. And so I just wanted you guys to practice that when you come in on a Sunday morning. Just practice your creeps and your crawls. Those are probably some of the more challenging things, just really getting that pressure right. If you play video games a lot, you're probably really good at this. And so those creeps, crawl, those are the kind of things. The other thing would be framing. But I'm going to do a separate video on that, and so that you guys can kind of know when I say go for like a medium shot, close up, extreme close up, those kind of things will be a little bit more detailed. And I'm gonna have Josh stand on stage. He's probably gonna watch this video, so I'm gonna have him stand on stage, and he'll be my stand-in for that guy. So that's pretty much it for the communications on camera one. Those are the kind of things we will be saying through the comms in terms of just kind of different movements with your shots and kind of framing up. And so just keep your ear out for those things. Say camera one can do a crawl in on Marsha, right? And so you're gonna do your nice, or crawl out actually on Marsha. So you start close up on Marsha, you're gonna zoom out, or you're gonna do a creep in, do the opposite. We'll do a tilt down on Marissa, and so you go above Marissa and you'll start your tilt down. So those are the kind of things we want to start to do, get some movement going into our shots, so it makes it a lot less stale on Sundays, especially in tandem with all the other moving shots. It feels like sometimes camera one might draw the life out of it, and that's not on you guys. It's just the nature of this position is that it can be a little dry at times, and so we want to keep the energy moving between the shots. Even the subtlest movement goes a very long way, and so I'll actually show a clip of it in action on a Sunday morning, so you guys get an idea of how effective it is to be able to use these things on a Sunday morning. All right, hi. So we're at projection. We're gonna go through some real quick projection, one terminology, and also best practices and stuff like that for how to communicate as a part of the production team. So first, we're going to talk about terminology. So there's a couple of different things that's going on here, and so you guys can kind of understand industry-specific terms for those who are interested, kind of what's happening. So we have, out of projection, we have our key and fill layer coming into the switcher. The key layer is usually the white boxes that you'll see. Basically, that's our cutout. It's like a stencil. If you guys have ever used a stencil, it's such like old technology. And then we have our fill layer, which is the image that we want to display. And so the stencil cuts out our fill layer, and we use that and we put that on top of our video. So that's kind of how it all works. We have a couple layers coming out. If something goes wrong with that and you start seeing transparent text, let me know, and I can kind of walk you through troubleshooting that. However, you just got to know that we typically just call it a keyer. Both those combined is just our key. So typically, if you're communicating, you might say, hey, you can see the lyrics aren't on. Instead of saying like the lyrics or whatever, you can say key, because that's what we have it labeled on the switcher software upstairs. So you could turn our key on or off, and you can ask for that to the director and just communicate those kind of things when you see them. Other things to communicate is stage display. If stage display is not working, that's what it's called. That's for the monitor for the singers. Some people also call it a confidence monitor because the singers it makes them more confident, I guess. I'm not going to get into that. They should know the songs. And yeah, where we're going. And so the two main things that the projection op can communicate through the comms to the rest of the team is, one, the songs. So we know what songs are coming up next. So for example, we have just finished, for example, here, Battle Belongs. We've reached the end of Battle Belongs. We're on the last slide. We say, hey, we just ended Battle Belongs. The next song is The Lion and the Lamb, and Marsha's leading this song. And just so that way we're all on top of things, the camera ops can position themselves and we kind of know what's coming up. And for example, we reached the end of the set list for the top of worship and we're going into the announcements like, hey, that was the last song. usually someone's on stage at this point, but you know, we're entering the last song. This is the last song. And then Pastor Elliot will be coming up at the end to do the announcements. So those kind of things, that kind of communication is really helpful and vital, just so that way we can keep things flowing. Because the directors usually probably focus on what's happening with the cameras and can't really focus on the service order. We want to take our eyes off of that for too long. The other thing is in the notes. So we reach the notes, for example, and we're going through and we might have an image, and the image might be on the left side. So just, hey, we have an image coming up on the next slide. It is on the left side, so the cameras can go on the right. And then, you know, you hang up and like, hey, yeah, thank you. Camera one, can you go to the left side? Anyway, I don't know why I'm role playing this. This is really weird. But yeah, that kind of communication will be really helpful because you guys can kind of see what's coming. And I know a lot of you guys do that already, but just reiterating that so we're on top of things. And so that way we are all, I guess, we're working together for success, right? We want it to be a very smooth and seamless service, whether that be online or in person. And so we can start to make those kind of shifts in that direction. And a part of that is just communicating to each other about even the smallest thing, you know? So, yeah, so that's it for this video. We just went through some basic kind of the comms and how those kind of work, and so you guys can be set up and you guys know how on a Sunday morning where to go and where to find those kind of things, as well as just kind of how we as a team can work together to better communicate, so that way we're doing everything with excellence and precision. That's our goal for 2023, is to do everything we do in this team, in this booth, with excellence and precision. And hopefully these will take us in those steps in that direction. So thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for the next one.